Echo, tell me a joke.
Why did the man quit his job recycling shoes? It was soul crushing.
That's a terrible joke. Okay, so what's up, everybody? It's the Big Hoagie here, and I'm going to show you guys how to customize Logic, both aesthetically and to increase workflow. So if you open up Logic, it should look something like this. We'll just open a general instrument. We'll close the inspector window. All right, so for starters, mine probably looks different than yours, but I'll explain everything as we go. I'm going to try to make this quick. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to try to make it quick for you guys, so I might be talking fast, but if you got any questions, just put them in the comments below. So first, startup action. Whenever you open a project, by default, it opens the most recent one, but I have it set to ask. You can set to any of these, but what ask is if you open it up, it has a dialog box almost exactly like this, and you just click whatever option you want and then hit continue, and it'll proceed with that. So if I want to open a new project, I can do that, or if I want to go from a template, I can also. So set that as you like. When opening a project, ask to close. So if I open another project right now, it'll actually have two windows. If I didn't have this selected, it would have two windows open, two different projects. With this, it allows me to hit close, and it'll close the current project and open the other one, so I only have one project open. You rarely need two projects open, so I don't really think it's necessary. Editing, you can change the number of undo steps. I've never really went over 10, but you can set it to whatever you like. One of the most important ones is this one here, right mouse button. I have it set to as assignable to a tool. If you look here, you can see I have all three tools here. The right one is operated by right clicking, the middle one's operated by command click, and then the left one's operated by clicking. You can set this to different things, but I think that one's the best one, especially when you open the piano roll open, or up, when you open the piano roll open. When you open the piano roll up, you can see I have three tools, and I like to set these to a pencil tool and to the brush tool. That way I can just, let me close this out of the way. That way I can just command click a note in, and then I can also, or I should say right click a note in, and I can command click to use the brush tool. So it's pretty helpful. So I highly recommend it. When you have two tools, you right click to open the option menu. When you have the three tools, you control click, and that opens the menu there. So continuing, we have that, and then limit dragging in one direction. So I have it off for the piano roll, that way I can drag my notes wherever I want. But in the tracks, like when I have these regions, I like it. That way I only can drag them either up and down or right and left. That way when I'm moving them around, I'm not accidentally overlapping them with a different region, which then trims that region. Just kind of becomes annoying. So that's a nice feature as well. And then double clicking the MIDI region, you can double click and that'll open the piano roll. You can set it to other things, but I don't think they're good. So this isn't important, this isn't important, and this isn't important, so we'll go to audio. Here you can set the input and output devices. Obviously, if you have a different microphone or something, or an output device, you can change that. The buffer size, that's good for controlling how your CPU works and not like overloading it. So you can change that, but the rest I have the default. General, none of these are really that important until you get to the MP3, which sets the default MP3 settings. So if you're going to bounce a file or a project, you can set these default settings. So you can set the bit rate, and then I like to have this selected where it filters frequencies below 10 Hertz because those really aren't important. So that's a good thing you can do. So yeah, you can set the MP3 settings there. For the recording, I pretty much kept everything the default, I'm pretty sure. I maybe selected the 24-bit recording, so nothing really too important there. MIDI, yeah, there is nothing here that's important. Display, so this is where all the customization for the aesthetics comes in. Starting with the one that I use, you can change this stuff, but I usually like to just have the wide playhead selected, so you can see my playhead here. Yours is probably thinner, so if I take it off, it probably looks like that. I like it with the wide playhead, that's just me. You can show animations. This is one I sometimes like, so if I add this volume animation, or Or never mind. That's something completely different. That was stupid. Ignore that. So yeah, so next here we have the display C, middle C as. So in Logic, I think default C3. When you look at most FL Studio users or other videos on YouTube, you'll see they have the C4 as the root note. I like the C4 as the root note also. You can take a look at these, they're not that important. The clock format you can change. I have it changed to, as you can see up here with the dots, by default it's the blank one. That's just me. Tracks. So this is an important one, track color. I have it at static, so anytime I add a track, it's going to be this green color. But you can auto assign, so when you add a track, it'll automatically put it at a different color. 24, obviously you'll have a bigger change in color. Where you go 96, some of the colors will start to look the same because there's so many colors. I like to have it static, and I like to change it to my own color that I would like. Same with the marker colors. The markers are where a pop-up up here, like you can add the marker there. The markers are where you can label your intro verses, stuff like that, so you can do the same thing with those. This is an important one, so my background here is bright. As you can see, I think by default it is the dark setting. You can also do custom, and you can drag it around to get the desired color. I like to just put it at bright, and then instead of having automatic grid lines, I like to customize my grid lines. So I have the horizontal ones being white, as you can see, and you can change how bright those are. And then I have the vertical ones being black, and you can change those as well. So that's how I have them set up, as you can see. Now, those aren't too important. So the mixer, you can change the, for this volume meter here, you can change the peak times and those features. I just leave them as the default. But a big one is when you're adding plugins, if you want it, so say you added a few plugins, you can show recent plugins in the list menu. So that's up to you. I like showing the recent ones, that way I can just get it if I'm using it often. And then a big one too is the piano roll. So you can see my piano roll has this nice white background. You can, I think by default it's this dark one, but you can change it just by clicking this. I like the bright one, I think it looks better. So that's me. Score, there's really nothing important there. I'm gonna close the piano roll. Movie, I don't know anything really about it, but I don't really think there's anything important. Automation, you can change the write mode to any of these options, and then you can select what it can actually automate. So that's up to you. I think I have those as default, but there's some customization there. Control surfaces, I don't do anything with any of those. And then my info, so you can actually enter your like artist info if you want to have a thing, or if you're on a certain project, you can add stuff like that. But then the big one is having this selected, the show advanced tools. Now, most of the time you can just have all of these selected. I don't ever use the score, so that's why I have it deselected there. But the advanced tools, make sure you have that selected. That way you can see these here. So, I mean, there are hotkeys, but a lot of times, like, we're done with that window, so I'm going to close it. But a lot of times if you're editing, I want to bounce this region, I can just click there. If this is closed, we'll say I can click there, and then bounce the region just by clicking that bounce region. So there's other nice things like split it playhead here. You can just leave this open if you would want. The zoom, colors, things like that. So there are nice tools there in the advanced tools. So make sure you have that selected so you can see it. So next we're going to talk about the top of the bar. Again, sorry I'm talking fast, but I'm just trying to go through this quickly and give you as much information as I can. So the top bar here, to edit what's up here, you're going to click this arrow and then come down to Customize Control Bar and Display. And then you can see it breaks it down into each category. So views over here, transport over here, LCD, and then the modes and functions and stuff over here. So you can click whatever you want to be here. If you close something off like Inspector, I know a lot of people do this, they just use the hotkey to open it up. I like having it there. I'm kind of lazy, don't like moving my hands that much, so I like to use the mouse as much as possible. So yeah, once you select what you want, the key here is to hit save as default. That way, anytime you open a project, it'll save that as pretty much the system default. So make sure you do that. And if you ever want to go back to, like if you change things and want to apply the defaults, you can click it there and you can revert back. So, but that's really nice. You can customize this with everything you want. Another big change from mine to most is probably these features on the instrument tracks. So you're going to hit the Alt or Option key and T, and it'll open these buttons. So you can add track numbers, as you see that pops up, track icons, color bars. You don't have to have them there. I like them there. And then these buttons. So you can customize those as you want, but the biggest thing is I don't use a lot of recording, so I don't need it, but a lot of times you'll see in videos people will bounce a file, that way it uses less CPU. That's what this freeze is. So let me explain. This is what I have, but you can change them there as you wish. So the power button allows you to pretty much power it down, so it won't use any of the plugins that are on that instrument. It just won't play that instrument at all. It's pretty much like muting it and powering down all the stuff. It uses a lot less CPU. The freeze button is like you're bouncing it, so it'll freeze the track. It won't allow you to edit it until you unfreeze it, and it's pretty much just like a bounce file, except it keeps it in the MIDI form. And that's nice because it uses less CPU, but if you ever do need to go back and edit it, you still can. So the freeze option is pretty cool thing that Logic happens to have. And then, yeah, you have mute and solo. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Now, if you ever want to change the colors, you can just right-click over here, assign track color, or assign track icon, and you can change the icon. So we'll put it to the drip right there, so you can see that. And then the next biggest thing is this here in the snap category. So when you're snapping, you want it to snap to grid, but when you're doing automation, say you want to get the automation right on the line of where this region ends. You want to open the automation, go here and go to Snap Automation Active. Now, when I use the marquee tool, which for me is in the middle, so that's Command click, and I click and drag, you can see it snaps exactly to those regions. And now when I click, look, I have an endpoint here, right at that line, and I have an endpoint right at that line, so I can adjust the automation right in between there, which is a really nice feature. And then one more bonus tip while we're here: if you do Control Shift, you can bend automation. Here, let me get this so I can actually bend it. But you can see there, Control Shift, and then click and drag, and you can bend the automation, get some cool effects. So that's just a quick little tip while we're here. So. Okay, and with that, that should sum up everything here. One last thing for the count-in. If you right-click on that, you can change the count-in speed. So I usually like it at 2 bars, because if you make a higher BPM beat, you want it to count in. I like to have the 2 bars, that way I can kind of get in the rhythm of the metronome before it happens. So if we look here, boom, and then it goes. So you can hear the two bars that it count of the count in there. So yeah, so that should be everything to customize Logic. Again, I'm sorry it was quick, but I just wanted to compact as much information as I can, be short and sweet and to the point. So again, any questions or any issues, just put them in the comments below, and peace.